Leo season 2025, we are now in the 20 degrees. 20 degrees is ruled by Cancerian energy. Cancer's purpose is to review the past. It's also about intuition, which is based on pattern recognition, which has to do with reviewing the past also. It's sensitivity, it's the home, it's whatever home means to you. We have also completed our journey, or almost completed our entire journey, through Aries aspects, which rule the body and the head. When we go through these 20 degrees, between 20 and 29, from August 12th, which was yesterday, and August 22nd, we are reviewing feelings and refeeling the feelings for the purpose of what we are encoding our new reality and our new world to be, and our new lives to be. This year of the snake has been very transformative for so many people. There's been a lot of shedding of jobs, of locations where people live, of relationships, of past life things in this lifetime and beyond. There are outer planets that have also been doing a dance with taking time to review, and have also done their time in Cancerian energy. We have Jupiter and Venus, which have kissed in the sky, so to speak. Jupiter is all about expansion and good fortune and luck, or just making things so much bigger that wouldn't normally be as big as they were. Leo is also very big energy. I've said in other videos that the energy of right now is very much like lava, and the purpose of lava is to create new earth. When lava reaches the air, sprouts come up and new earth begins, like the islands. So we are reviewing a lot of emotions. From 20 degrees to 29 degrees Leo, which is the top degrees of Leo. So these are going to be really big emotions, big feelings. And these feelings come up for review because as we shed our cells and we create new molecules every day, molecules are emotions, and we are encoding what our emotions are going to be, what we are here to still be learning about on this planet in regards to emotions, because that's why we're here on this planet. So what happens with emotions is, if we do not know how to work with our emotions, which most of us are trained not to, because there's so much power in emotions, but if we know the power in emotions and we harness the power in emotions, we are less easily used for service and commodification and as machine type wheels in other organizations, cogs, as machines. So when we do harness our emotions, however, we have more access to bliss, ecstasy, we have more access to joy, we have more access to peace, when we know how to access these emotions, when we know how to let ourselves feel the emotions. So the first step in feeling our emotions is naming the emotion. And this is not something that we are taught to do. So I'm going to give you an example. It's a very psychic time right now too. So this message, by the way, is for Pisces. This transit's going to be affecting Pisces greatly, Leo, Scorpio, Aries, and a little bit of Libra too, and definitely people with Cancer in their chart. And if your sun sign is any of those things, if you know that you are any of those, this this message is definitely for you, but also those of you who have Cancerian energies in your chart, Libra energies, Aries, Pisces, a little bit of Scorpio, and definitely Leo. Any of you who have named, if you have houses that have a lot of those aspects in them, by all means, this message is for you. And those houses would be the 1st house, the 5th house, the 8th house, the 12th house, Pisces, the 6th house. So moving on. Oh, and the 5th house. So moving on. It's really simple, but so difficult also to name the emotion. So I'm going to give an example from my own personal life. I woke up the other morning from a nightmare, and the nightmare was that I was back in this community recreational class that I took during the pandemic, and I was so grateful in real life to be in that class because it was the only thing to do, to get together in person, and I needed that in-person connection. I had already earned my MFTA in art therapy, and with an emphasis in dance therapy, and then I had been in a program to learn about dream analysis and psychoanalysis, and I had left that program because I no longer wanted to do online things. I wanted to be in person, and that program was becoming an online program because it was the pandemic and people were sheltering in place. So there was a community recreational class at my local recreational department, and it was an art class, and I stumbled into that class kind of by accident and discovered a wonderful world of artists that have been doing art together for 10, 20, 30 years. And that's a wonderful place to stumble into as an art therapist. It was I felt incredibly honored to get to bear witness to all the processes of all these various artists. And I also experienced, so that's the story, okay? And I named no feelings in that story. So now I'm going to give you an example of naming the feelings in that story, because this is so important for the good feelings and the not good feelings. So I stumble upon this group by accident, and I am filled with glee, curiosity, awe, joy. I felt connection, but that's not a feeling, that's an experience. So a feeling of fulfillment, because we all need connection. It felt like home in some ways, like a home that I had been waiting for in a lot of ways, because as a creative person and a person trained in art therapy with an MFTA, like, of course, that's going to feel like, a place of belonging. So the feeling, belonging and home, those are places and things, but not feelings. So the feelings would be fulfillment. The feelings would be I felt kindness, I felt curiosity, I felt fulfillment, I felt peace, I felt joy, I felt good feelings. So that is an acknowledgement of that. So that's great. Being able to name those feelings is, even the good feelings can be hard and difficult because we are not trained to, number one, do that. Number two, it can feel unsafe because other people might be like, what makes you think you get to feel that? While you were feeling that, I was feeling hard work. I was feeling, and that's like, hard work is not a feeling, right? I was feeling overwhelmed. If they were like, practicing saying their feelings, they would be like, I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling pain. I was feeling fear. I was feeling frustration. I was feeling anger. I was feeling jealousy while you were feeling those feelings. But the people who don't want us to say our feelings are not going to be able to say their feelings, but they tend to be feeling a lot of those feelings and trying to avoid those feelings by staying in the story. So let me give another example of the story versus the feelings. So the next part of this story was that I was also simultaneously feeling fear, sorrow, loss, grief. I felt hated. I felt, I experienced cruelty, and the feelings that I got from experiencing the cruelty was fear, sorrow, loss. What are other feelings that, you know, when you are being... So those are some feelings. Those are enough feelings. The story is that racist things were being said about me in passive-aggressive, indirect ways. I had been in a couple of car accidents, and my neck and my back and my body was crippled from it, but I was invisibly disabled. I wasn't using a cane or a wheelchair, and someone would have had to have heard me verbally expressing my pain and what I was going through, and I was experiencing extreme physical pain trying to walk from my car to the classroom and carrying my art supplies. It would take me like 20 minutes just to walk from my car to the classroom, even though my car was parked very close to the classroom. It was very hard to move my body because I was very injured. I was handicapped, crippled, invisibly disabled. And I felt humiliation and judgment. No, humiliation and the feelings that come with the feelings of judgment, and outcasting. So I would be late sometimes, and a lot of people were late. It was a community recreational class. There were drop-ins. People would just do drop-ins sometimes. So people would be late, but I got singled out for being late. So when I would be late, even though I had paid to be there, and there's a roster of how many people are in the class, to teach me a lesson, I guess, there wasn't a chair for me at one of the many tables. There would be a chair missing to where I couldn't sit down. So I would have to pull a chair off of a stack of chairs from the back wall. And I couldn't do it. My body wouldn't let me. And that's hard, humiliating, humbling. I don't think humbling is a feeling, but humiliation is. Humiliation is the feeling that comes from experiencing being humbled. And I would ask for help, and I was told that I was interrupting the class. And even though other people were going through that too, somebody else was on crutches, they were experiencing the same thing. So I had to stand up for myself and say, you know, there needs to be a chair for me that's set up. I need to know without a doubt that there's a chair for me when I get there, because it's painful and it's taking me a lot of work to get there, but I'm grateful to have a place to be, to do art, to forget about my physical pain, and to connect with people during these hard times. And the teachers told me that I needed to stand in the doorway behind them and wait until they were done speaking. And there was no way that I was able to stand after it would take me so long just to walk from my car. And she didn't have the ability to have any empathy for my physical body pain, despite having survived major illnesses herself that have to do with the body. She just wasn't able to access empathy for my situation. And she wanted me to stand in front of the class behind her and wait for her to be done speaking. And she had a habit of spending the first half hour of the class talking about her mom issues. She had a mom that was in her late 90s, 98, that she still hadn't forgiven for pitting her and her brother against each other. And she would perpetuate those dynamics in the classroom, as queen bees often do. They'll have their teacher's pet, and then they'll have another pet, and they'll kind of pit them against each other. It keeps the momentum going, and it kind of keeps the glue together. And when you're in a position like that as a queen bee, no one is going to tell you that, no one's going to risk a 10, 20, 30-year relationship to tell you that you're wrong. So when people would come in that were new and would say, hey, you know, don't talk to me like that, everyone would defend her because she would have a meltdown. No one wanted to have to deal with the meltdown, so they'd be like, no, 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 you're fine, you're fine. And it was extremely painful. There were times where like I would have tears streaming down my eyes, because the going from feeling seen and included and kindness and understood as a sensitive artist, as we all were and are, going from the extreme of that experience, which is so rare, to an experience of judgment and hatefulness and pain, was a lot to handle. When I was already managing, trying to repair my body from being rear-ended a couple times in 2 years. So things like that would happen. There was a time where like I asked to borrow a piece of paper and she like tore it up and threw it at me. You know, racist comments, and it got to the point where we got through the pandemic, we got to the other side, and one day she got to my social media wall and had posted some racist things, and I used my social media to help people find homes who are homeless, for marginalized populations, because I myself have been through homelessness and I know what it's like to struggle with that. And so and this group was started by a friend of mine who unalived himself because of his own struggles with homelessness and various other things like addiction and so on and so forth. So I ended up inheriting this group to help people find homes, and she was coming onto my social media field and posting things that were racist, and I had to draw a boundary, and I had to tell her, you know, it's almost my birthday and I'm not going to be online, and I can't have anything racist getting posted in my stuff, because I'm not going to have access to the internet to take it down. So, you know, I just need you to know, like, you might not know it, but that is painful and hurtful what you're doing to people, and you know, I don't judge you if you didn't know or if you did, but I do need you to not do it. And here's the thing though, when people feel that they are better than you, so when they feel superior, they feel offended when you teach them something. And so they're not able to take in the teaching. And that's like, you know, that's part of being alive, is feeling these feelings. So now my life is better and it's different. I've like left that situation. She actually blocked me from multiple groups. But that little story, what I'm supposed to get out of that story, just like you and whatever little stories that you have, just like my little story, this is a very like mild story. It's just, you know, nothing like, I'm not telling you about major trauma, but these things can feel traumatic and dramatic, especially during these particular transits where everything's expanded. So I'm telling you this as an example of naming the feelings versus telling the story. And both are important, but when you tell the story, you can't expect to get healing, because people hearing the story are hearing it through the lens of where they're at, and everyone has needs, and sometimes people do not have the capacity to handle the responsibility that comes with knowledge. And being disbelieved can be more traumatic than the original trauma or drama. So it is better to just simply be able to express the feelings. If you don't have anyone that it's safe to express feelings to, doing it in the mirror is really good. Doing it in front of a camera is great. Putting it out to a bunch of strangers is also good. Strangers that might benefit, you know, every stranger is just a friend waiting to be had. So with that mindset, we can be a friend to ourselves and to each other by just simply naming our feelings and taking away the power. By naming the feelings, by saying the name, it takes away the power. In the movie Candyman, he keeps saying, "You're not going to remember my name." He's an artist. "You're not going to remember my name. You know, what's the point of me telling you my name? Anyway, you're not going to remember it." And it's true. By the end of the film, a lot of people don't remember his name. And that is a whole nother story unto itself, but there is a correlation and maybe even a connection between that example, and it's the newest Candyman movie, and our emotions. When we don't name our emotions and we don't say the name of our emotions, we are not giving our emotions the full credit that they need. So what ends up happening is they turn into Candymans, and the Candyman equivalent of not naming our emotions is body pain. It's dis-ease in the body. The Candyman equivalent of not naming our emotions is denying that they are there, denying that they exist. And what happens to the people like the Candyman character is that there's a lot of sabotage, destruction, and pain, and breaking down kind of vibes and energy that can happen. So this test through these highest degrees of Leo is to name the emotions. And that's what we're here for. We're here to be feeling emotions, naming them, owning them, without shame, without guilt. So in order to do that, what we can then do is move forward with our stories. So now my life is so much better. I enjoyed doing tango with my partner last night, and the teacher that we have has only been positive towards us, has only been laughing with us and having a great time with us and full of joy with us. And we have learned so much with her, and we love it. And I have a vocal coach, and I have not only gotten my voice back, but I have extended my reach beyond what I ever thought my voice could do. And I have been validated. So I have gotten to feel sheer pleasure, joy, connection, belonging like I have never known, belonging in myself and to the universe like I have never known. I'm like I now know. I'm not going to say like I have never known, like I now know. And to fully enjoy and embrace these one-on-one experiences, or these one-on-two experiences, and allow it to expand and grow, it is my job to say I also have these other feelings. The last time I was enjoying myself while I was simultaneously experiencing pain and fear, and acknowledge like there's a fear. You know, both of these teachers are encouraging me and to connect with other dancers, and to connect with other groups that do dancing, and to connect with other musicians. And they have full faith in our ability, and there's no withholding try not to do there's none of this, because you kind of inadvertently attract it when you say there's none of. There is welcoming and affirmation and all validating, and in shared enjoyment, pure, full shared enjoyment. Yet at the same time, there is a fear, because we are in these retrogrades that are telling us to look to the past, at our feelings, and re-examine any feelings that we haven't fully named or fully processed, because we haven't even named them or recognized them. We've kept ourselves too busy to even feel them. So the time is now to see them, name them, accept them, allow the feeling, allow the release to move through it. Because if not, then what happens is we are afraid. We have fear that's unacknowledged, and it turns into hip pain. We have like I just had just now, and I had to readjust. And the hip has to do with the creative sector of our life. So the feelings that I now have, along with the sheer joy and the giddiness and the pleasure and the hope and the fulfillment and all these wonderful feelings, there's also feelings of fear that I'm going to get treated cruelly again. That, you know, what if some teacher's pet makes up some lie about me and has like everybody sniffing at me for like the next 2 years to see if it's true? You know, like what if like something like that happens again? What if and that's a story, but what if I have to experience feelings of fear, rejection, pain, and sorrow again, along with the good feelings? And the fear that those feelings are going to be stronger than the good feelings, it comes from not wanting to acknowledge the hard feelings. Because especially where I live, it's all about light supremacy where I live. And what light supremacy is people that are like, just keep it in the light, only talk about the good stuff, you know, don't feel anger, don't feel sorrow, don't feel sadness, I can't handle it, it's too much. And what ends up happening with light supremacy is people end up getting sick in their bodies. So it's all fine and dandy as long as, you know, everything's kept light and no one has to feel empathy for other people's pain. But as soon as people are afraid that they're going to have to feel the bad feelings, they don't want to grow up and feel the bad feelings and get to the other side of the feelings. They end up blocking themselves from the good feelings too, and it turns into dis-ease in the body. And I know about dis-ease in the body. I'm in almost complete remission from a degenerative disease that I struggled with for many months, many years. It was extremely hard for many months and life-altering, and I'm on the other side of it almost completely now. So I know about dis-ease and pain and all of that stuff, and how it turns into emotions in the body, it turns into body pain. And so this is the way that we not just prevent that. I don't want to scare people into preventing that, but I do want to let you know that you can have power to be happier if you're willing to allow yourself to also feel the other feelings too. And don't be afraid to name them. ChatGPT can be great for that right now too. Like, tell your story and then like name your feelings and see what happens. On, you know, wherever you can do it, do it. Don't waste your time trying to do it around people that aren't doing the same kind of work, or that haven't already been doing the same kind of work for a long time. There are people that think that the process and the work is telling the stories over and over and over again, and they get stuck in those places, and they're just manifesting the same thing, and it turns into noise. And it becomes the kind of background noise that nobody hears anymore. And you don't want that of your life. You don't want your life to be background noise of the same old stuff over and over again that nobody's even hearing anymore. And people are just like, can we get on with it already? Can we just do our art already? You know, or can you get to the meditation already? So yeah, like, I know that this could be useful. I'm gonna rewatch this to remind myself over the next 10 days, and this is for anyone else, you know, especially Pisces and Libra, Aries, Leo, Cancerians.